Right, ladies and gentlemen, how we feeling? Looking at all of you, are we going to give a great panel introduction to our next guest? Are you rowdy? Are you feeling it? We can do better than that. Are we feeling it, Liverpool? Well, to say our next guest is a legend indeed is quite an understatement. Please welcome to the stage, presented by Monopoly Events, William Shatner!
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's quite a greeting. I'm so happy to be in Liverpool. I've never been to Liverpool. And it's, there was a bird here, wasn't there, some time ago? Yeah. What is it called? A liverbird. Is Liverpool a result of the Liverpool? No, is it? And then there's it swims and then there's a bird that makes its nest in the chimneys. Yeah? No, you're like, no, that doesn't happen here. It's a pleasure for me to be here because the last time I was in the UK, gosh, those are high. Am I hidden? Yes. I'll see you all later. The last time I was in the UK, I was on tour in Europe, and then came to England and on a Sunday night, and so I was going to perform on Monday evening. So I wake up Monday morning, and I put on the television set, and Boris Johnson is. Well, then I don't know who it was, but he was saying, it was about like noon, and he's saying to a press conference, no more than 10 people can congregate because of COVID. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, there's 3,500 people at the Apollo Theater waiting for me. And all of a sudden, Boris Johnson, he couldn't wait till, no, really, is he being booed? Was he that bad? No kidding. How do you like the guy now? Oh, that's even worse than Boris Johnson. So Boris is saying no more than 10 people can congregate now. And I'm thinking, I got 3,500 people at the Apollo Theater. They're meeting tonight to see me, and Boris Johnson is saying you can't meet. And I said, Boris Johnson, what do you mean you can't meet? So now I go to the theater that evening. They drive me. I don't know what's happening at the Apollo, but the Apollo is like the Magic Theater, right? Didn't the Beatles appear at the Apollo? Beatles. Oh, that's a mixture there. You mean really? In Liverpool they booed the Beatles? No. So I get to the theater, and now it's like this, and I'm waiting backstage. The curtain covers the whole arena, the whole proscenium. Gosh, I haven't said proscenium in a long time. And I'm waiting. I'm wondering, are there 10 people there? Or is there a sold out 3,500? And the curtain goes up, and there's 3,500 people. Everybody that bought a ticket and was going to be there was there. And exactly. And I came out, and I was so moved by the fact that people wanted to be in the theater more than they thought about COVID. Maybe they didn't know too much about COVID and that you die. But I was so moved, and so was the audience, that when I said Boris Johnson, they all booed. And we had a great time. But we were the whole audience and I were moved by the fact that we agreed to jeopardize ourselves by coming to the theater when we were told don't come to the theater. And now I'm at another theater like tonight, and I said, you know, some months ago, and I've been telling them the story like I'm telling you, and I said, but you know, there was this feeling, I thought, between the audience and actor that sometimes happens. Sometimes there's a spirit of, listen to me. You feel the listening? So that's what I felt. And I said, you know, maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe that didn't really happen. And the woman in the middle stood up and said, no, I was there and it happened. And I got validation and I was moved once again. And like I do easily, I started to cry. It was a very moving moment of the actor-audience connection, which every so often it happens, and there's a moment of such connection between the people in the audience and the performer on stage. So, let us start. Number one, you're in a red shirt. What do you want to know? What do you want to ask me? No, yeah, here, let me give you a hint in case sometimes you're up on stage.
I'm gonna shout. Okay.
No, you don't have to shout.
So,
Kiss the microphone. Put your mouth right on the microphone.
okay. Is that
See?
You're amazing.
Okay.
It's like you're an actor or something.
Yeah, but can you speak English?
I'll try.
Okay, there you go.
So my favorite ever TV.
No, right in. I can barely hear you.
My favorite ever TV series is Boston Legal.
Boston Legal.
And your character.
Did you say Boston Legal or Boris Johnson?
Boston Legal.
Okay.
So your character is famous for saying his name. And I was wondering if you could demonstrate, like, because you say the name so amazingly and so differently on different, like how you want to convey what your character wants to achieve. So it's like, my question is around the process of like changing the intonation of the name, or whether you're seducing a woman, or...
I'm hearing everything you say, but I don't understand a word. Okay?
Sorry.
What do you want to know?
So when Danny Crane...
Just do it like simple. And
Okay.
What is the motivation that the actor has to do what the characters did?
So when Danny Crane says his
making
name...
a living.
No. When Danny Crane says his name, he doesn't say it the same way every time, because he wants to achieve a different thing, like seducing a woman or winning a case. So my question was like, as an actor, you do it really amazingly, and when you do that...
What you say. If what you're asking, which is something some people ask, about the character saying his name, is that what you mean? Oh, okay, got it. So every so often, this character that I was playing would say, Danny Crane. Danny Crane. Danny Crane. And he would continue. Boris Johnson. No. Danny Crane. So the author of our show, by the way, was a great writer, David E. Kelly. So I'm reading the script, and I see the character says Danny Crane 5 times, 6 times. I'm thinking, how do you play a character that says his name again and again? How do you make that sound? How do you make that truth? I have a piece of land in the Sierra Mountains in California, and it's wild country, and it's a wild river. There's nobody around, so I'm in the river, small river, large creek. I'm sitting on a rock, naked in the water, but there are no neighbors around. There's nothing around. It's fantastic. So I'm sitting there, and my life is in jeopardy. My way of living is in jeopardy. I'm getting a divorce. Shh. And I'm thinking, I gotta sell this property. I gotta sell it. I gotta get some money to do this. And I'm sitting in the rock. I'm sitting in the water, and on a rock is a lizard. And the water hits the rock and comes out as droplets. And the lizard sticks its tongue out and catches a drop of water. And then continues to put its lizard tongue out. And I know that lizards, the lizard family, uses its tongue to ascertain what the environment is, what is going on. So like you might sniff, like an animal might sniff, the lizard is using its tongue to sniff and drink water. And I think, I can't sell this land. I'm discovering how a lizard feeds and what it does with its tongue. And I've got to keep a hold of this property. If there's nothing else I need to hold on to, is this property. And so I don't sell it. And I was very glad not to do that. But I saw a lizard. And I thought, when I read that this character says Denny Crane, but of course, it's like a lizard. Denny Crane. Oh, Denny Crane. And he's sticking his tongue out to see what the reaction is to his name. And that was my way of playing it.
Amazing. Thank you.
And to continue on that, every so often, again, David E. Kelly, because there's another guy named David Kelly. David E. Kelly, every so often I have the character say, cue the music. What? I'm in the middle. I love you, sweetheart. Cue the music. And another thing I'd like, what is that? How do you play? How does the actor play? Cue the music. On the last show, Kelly writes, the character says, I think of my life as a TV show. I think, of course. He thinks of his life as a TV show. It says, cue the music. I'm in the middle of a drama, I'm on stage, cue the music. And so I learned a truth about the character on the last show as we were canceled. Thank you. Yes, sir. Please. Hi. Why don't you raise the microphone instead of bending down like that? See?
Is that better?
No, well, you're still crouching, but that's up to you. Now you're talking.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm a big fan of Star Trek, and Chris Pine's performance is my personal favourite.
Who? Boris Johnson.
My question to yourself is, what's your opinion on Chris Pine's performance?
What do you want to know?
Well, what did you think of his performance?
Oh, what do I think of Chris Johnson? Chris Johnson.
Chris Pine.
Chris Pine? Well, he's young. And he's really good looking. And apparently very rich now that he's playing the part. So he's young, handsome, and rich. I don't have anything against him. He's wonderful. He's wonderful in it. He's a wonderful actor. The connection I had with him, unbeknownst to me until I was told, that prior, maybe a year or two before Chris got the job as playing the captain of the Enterprise, his father is an actor. And apparently I was in a show with his father, who was not a popular actor, but he worked a working actor, and there was a scene, and his name was whatever Mr. Pine's name is. I don't know his first name, but it was Pine. And how do you do? Glad to meet you. And we did the scene, and he left, and I apparently worked with his father, and I had no idea. So he's a lovely man, and I don't know him. I haven't seen him in a long time. I did direct what was it? I had something. I was directing him in something, and the whole idea was it was like a commercial for the Star Trek, a publicity thing for Star Trek, and I was directing it. So I had a table and chairs put in the center of the street that goes along Paramount, Melrose it's called. So I put a chair and table. I put a chair and table in the middle of Melrose with traffic going by, beeping hard, get off the road! And I thought, why are they yelling at me? My name isn't Boris Johnson. and he sat there and I sat here, and the crowd around us, I placed a crowd around us, and we were arm wrestling. He was talking about Chris Pine and thing, and coming on Star Trek, and I started to do, directed, Chris, you put that and I got it, Chris, you trying, and then somebody came, one of the people surrounding us came in and blocked as we were going, no, and somebody came in, was directed to come in and block the camera, so you didn't see who won. And then we got up, and then they left, and we were there, and we were both smiling as though we both won. And then we got up and left, and that was the last time I saw Chris Pine. But he's wonderful. Yeah, I don't know. Yes, what's your question? No, don't applaud, just silently admire. But what's your question? Oh, I see, 3.
Hello, Bill.
Hello there. Now, right close to the microphone so we can all understand. Do you have a Liverpool accent that's a...
I don't know, no.
You don't?
Not local.
Okay, then they won't understand you.
One of my other favourite shows that Gene Roddenberry created was Andromeda. And I was always curious, when Kevin Sorbo got the role of Captain Dylan Hunt in that show, did he talk with you at all? Did you have a communication as one
Andromeda and the actor?
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, how would I know what's his name?
Kevin Sorbo, yeah.
Oh, Kenneth Sorbo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Kenneth, but he was Tarzan, wasn't he?
No, Hercules.
Oh, Hercules.
Yeah, back in the
same thing.
First watch show.
What's your question?
I just wonder when he went from Hercules to Andromeda, he then became a captain of a ship like you was in Star Trek. Did he ever communicate with you or talk with you?
No, you mean we had captains of the spaceship in common?
Maybe.
You know, it's entertainment, right? What happened recently going around the backside of the moon, that really happened. The rest of us are like, stumbling around. And Kenneth, whom I know, stumbles as much as the rest of us. What else? In truth, what do you want to know? I got a better idea. What is the nature of your question? What is it? What are you trying to find out? And maybe I can help you.
I just wanted to know if it's...
Doug, right closer to the microphone.
Sorry, I just wanted to know that because you played a captain and then he played a captain.
And he played a captain. It gives us a great deal in common. Is that what you think?
Well, I know he's a big fan of yours.
He was what?
I know he's a big fan of yours.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, he's a wonderful guy.
He is a wonderful guy.
Right.
Boy.
Full of good taste, knowledgeable, everything. No, I have no idea. That is a bizarre question. That's almost as bad as the lady's question here. I mean, it's difficult. I'm trying to find something I can give you a truth. Just spit out a whole thing. Piece of lettuce there. I had a salad prior to coming out. It's terrible. You know, imagine you're in company. Good evening, Howard. This thing falls out of your mouth. It's not good. Number 4. Why is it so far away?
Hi, Bill.
Not only can I not hear you.
Can you
I
hear
can't
me
see
okay?
you. What?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Am
now
I close
can hear
enough?
you, but I can't see you, but what the hell?
I'll give you a wave.
Yeah.
So, I've got a question for you, Bill. It's very relevant.
I certainly hope so.
I'm an actor in a drama
Because
studio.
up to now, we're not doing very well, you know what I
Here we go then, Bill.
mean? Okay.
Space. The final frontier.
The final frontier.
These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise.
Oh, that's where Final Frontier sounds familiar. Yeah.
My question
What
to
do
you,
you
Bill.
want to know?
Who does your favorite impersonation of William Shatner?
Oh. What was the name of the? He was a comedian, but he did a really good imitation of me.
Kevin Pollak.
Kevin Pollak, that's it. So I'm directing Kevin Pollak in a short film, and in order to get acquainted with him, I said, let's go to lunch. He said, fine. So we're at lunch outside the studio, and he says to me. You know, I do a good imitation of you. And I said, I know, Kevin, you do. But I don't understand why you do it. What is it exactly you do to do an imitation of me? Because I think I do a better imitation of me than you do. So we laughed about that. I don't talk the way they talk. Every so often somebody imitates me, and I poke my wife and say, is he doing me?
Bill,
I mean, you know,
Bill,
Jimmy
Bill,
Stewart. Remember
you do,
Jimmy Stewart?
you do it.
Wait
you
a
know.
minute, I'm talking before.
You do it, Bill. You're doing it now, Bill. We love it, Bill. Do it again.
Wait a minute.
Do it for us like you do it,
Things
Bill.
are just getting out of hand here. Liverpool people are really strong-minded, aren't they?
It's because we love you, Bill.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart. Okay. Next question. You, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, unfortunately.
What to you is the ultimate message of Star Trek, and what do you say to the fans?
Hold on. Repeat that again.
What to you is the ultimate message of Star Trek?
Oh, what's the ultimate message of Star Trek?
Yeah, and what do you say to fans who maybe raise up some series to the detriment of others?
What was the last part again? What was the
What do you say to some fans who say one series is much better and the others are?
Oh, I tell them they're wrong. The one I was in was by far the best. We're not prejudiced at all. Just we have good taste. You know, I don't know what you said, but I'm up here. We'll put you up here in a moment, okay? I was a friend of mine, Norman Corwin, in American radio mostly. Norman Corwin wrote some of the great American dramas in the 1940 to 70, somewhere. When radio was at its zenith, Norman Corwin was the great American dramatist, so that you would listen to the radio prior to television, and it was called the theater of the mind, because there'd be special effects and orchestra and great dramas, but you were listening, and you were listening so that your imagination was painting the picture, the visual picture. So Norman Corwin won all kinds of awards over the years for his dramas. And I had done a lot of radio in Canada. I'm from Montreal. And the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, in order to sustain this large country with 30 million people in it during the time I lived there in Canada, used radio to unite the country. So there were actors in Vancouver, in Toronto, Montreal, and Halifax. 3,000 miles was linked by 4 or 5 Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, CBC, dramas. And the headquarters of the CBC was in Toronto, and since Toronto was the biggest center of all, most of the dramas emerged from the CBC studios in Toronto. But, for example, in Montreal, there was a coterie of English-speaking actors that got paid to do dramas, not Norman Corwin's, but local dramatists would write plays that Canadian actors would act in for Canadian television. And I had been at a summer camp when I was about 6 years old, the kind of camp that parents send their children to for a couple of weeks to find, see the sky at night and a tree and water. So my parents sent me to that kind of outdoor camp. I'm 6 years old. And part of the activity was to put on a play, because when the parents came 2 weeks later, the camp provided an hour or two of entertainment to the parents. And so the counselors at the camp would write a play, and the campers would do the play for their parents that Sunday afternoon, just before their parents took them in their car, brought them back to the city of Montreal. So I played something, and I learned a speech that somebody had written, and it was a moving speech. I didn't know what it was about. I was 6 or 7 or 8 years old, something like that. But it was goodbye to my dog. We had to leave, and I'm saying goodbye to my dog, and I gotta leave him. I gotta go find him, and I'm talking about having to leave home before the Nazis come in. When the curtain comes down after the speech, and then it goes up, the audience is crying. And I'm thinking, my God, they're crying. I made them cry. And then after it's over, and my father picks me up, my boy Bill, and people say, "Oh, Billy, you did so well." My fate was written, and I was an actor from that time on. So now it's 10 years later, and I'm an adolescent, I'm a teenager, and I'm doing professional radio in Montreal, and I'm getting paid for it. So it just activated my desire to be an actor. And then I did, when I was at university, at McGill University in Montreal, I did all the musicals, I did all the plays, I did the radio, and I was so active that I almost failed my studies because I was so active in drama. And then when I graduated, I got into professional theater, summer theater, and the guy at the summer theater said, I've got a professional theater in Ottawa, would you want to be part of the company? And I said, yes. Now I'm a professional actor starving to death in Ottawa, but doing a play a week. And then I'm doing a play a week, and somebody from Toronto says, "Hey, you're a good actor. Would you like to be part of a new company of classical players? There's a Stratford, Ontario, and we're doing Stratford Shakespeare. We're doing Shakespeare at Stratford, Ontario. And we're doing a classical company. Would you like to be part?" I said, yes. I became part of a classical company in Canada. And in fact, we came to Edinburgh. We played the Edinburgh Festival and did a classical play by Marlowe. Took that play to New York. And we opened in New York, and I'm still 21. And I'm a professional actor doing a Broadway opening in a play by Marlowe, and I had a good part, and I did it well, and I got offers from agents who then put me on live television, and I was in live television for those years when television was just coming in, and then television, for mechanical reasons, left New York and went to Hollywood, and everybody went to Hollywood who was doing live television, and I went to live in Hollywood because I followed all those people I knew that I worked with in live television, and began a career in New York, in Hollywood, after being in New York and being on Broadway. And everything just stemmed from one thing after another, from this kid who did a speech to a dog and made the audience cry. And that was my way of being here today and talking to you today. What was your question? I was answering something. Tell me what I was answering.
I was asking, what's the message of Star Trek? And
Well, that's the message of Star Trek. What's the message of Star Trek? So wait a minute. So I guess where I was going was. So I became a popular actor in the theater at Broadway, and in movies, and in shows like what's the two shows I do that is so popular? The what? No, the star, the futuristic, 27,000 feet.
Twilight Zone.
20,000 leagues.
Twilight Zone.
What is it?
Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone. So the people I had worked with in New York had moved to Los Angeles and were now producing and directing and acting and directing this thing called Twilight Zone. And since they knew me, because I was doing a lot of live television, which was very much like doing a play in those years, now they were filming, and they said, Bill, we got this play we've got this half-hour show called Twilight Zone, and there's a thing, and maybe you'd like to, and so I read this Twilight Zone, where there's this character standing on the wing of a 747, and the character they wanted me to play sees this thing standing on the wing of an airplane. And they said, would you like, well, I thought, that is the dumbest thing I've ever played. But my friends who I'd worked with for 2-3 years want me to do it, I better do it. So I said, okay, I'll do it. So I go to the studio the first day, and there's the Czechoslovakian acrobat who's dressed in this furry suit. And I said, what's that? They said, that's the guy who's standing on the wing of the. I said, couldn't you make the suit a little aerodynamic? It's a little furry suit with a strange pug face. What is that? That's the alien. Oh, really? And I thought, this is going to be the worst thing I've ever done. And I thought it would be, but it turned out to be very popular. And it got a lot of recognition, including another one that they asked me to do about picking up fate, future, you pick out a piece of paper, put a coin in, piece of paper comes out, good luck will come your way if you drink a glass of water. These shows became very popular. To me, it was like the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Especially the guy standing on the wing. It got so stupid that when my daughters, I have 3 daughters, when they were like 5 and 6 and 8, and we'd get on an airplane, my kids would say, Daddy, do the look. So they'd go to the stewardess, the flight attendant, and they say, ma'am, my father, and the flight attendant would come, and I'd be looking out the window like this, and the flight attendant would be there, and the kids came up and said, Daddy, she's here, and I'd turn around and go, and my kids would laugh, and the stewardess would go, what is that? And all of that, I acquired a certain popularity, okay? Now, Norman Corwin writes a play for me. Beautiful, poetic, meaningful play. We're going to go to New York with it. And I'm premiering it at a University of Salt Lake City, which had offered a prize for an original drama. They would produce it and give it back to you, and then you could do what you wanted with it. So we opened it in Salt Lake City, and we were going to go to Broadway when I got a call from this thing called Star Trek, and they said, we've sold the Star Trek. Let me just go back a little bit in the history. They made a pilot which is, they use the word pilot, they've made an hour sample of what Star Trek would be like with an actor called Jeffrey Hunter, and it didn't sell because the officials at NBC, the National Broadcasting Corporation, who were going to buy this thing called Star Trek, didn't like the cast, didn't like the show, said to Gene Roddenberry, and I've never heard of this since, before or since, we'll give you the money to make another pilot, but recast it. So Roddenberry calls me and says, would you like to be in this thing called Star Trek? And I go see the pilot. I think, well, I see the fault, and I had some suggestions to make. And I said, but it didn't sell the first time. It's not going to sell the second time. And I'm all intent to go to Broadway in a Norman Corwin play when I get a phone call, and they said they sold this thing called the pilot you were in, called Star Trek, and I had to get out of my contract to go to New York with the play to do this thing called Star Trek. And my life changed completely. So, what is the meaning of Star Trek? The meaning of Star Trek is, what's he gonna say? Is Artemis 2. Let me continue this. I'm leaping, but I've got it in mind. I know I've got the roadway. It's just, there are a lot of curves in this thing. So Artemis 2 contained 4 astronauts, and Artemis 2 represents the beginning of the next step in the exploration of space. And from what I've heard, all those astronauts were fans of Star Trek. In fact, the space program runs a camp in Huntsville, Alabama, where the space program began. And they run a space program for youngsters, and they want me to be part of it. And I'm going to be part of that space program. And so I've become acquainted with many of the astronauts, and I'm kind of on the periphery of these astronauts. So I know that those guys are the beginning of the next stage of exploration of space. What I find fault with is they said we were sending 4 live astronauts in space to go around the backside of the moon, and we're not sending robots, we're sending 4 live people because they can tell you the color of the ground around the moon. They'll have more subtlety in their vision than our instruments can tell us. They can identify some of the minerals and things that are on the backside of the moon more readily than the instruments. And I thought, that isn't so. Our instruments are far more subtle than our human sight, sound, smells, taste. And I had to ask myself the question, and this is what the answer to Star Trek is. If an instrument, if a robot makes an observation, if artificial intelligence interprets a fact that one of the robot machines, television or telescope or the readings in the spaceship, if a robot makes an observation in space, is that human? Is that human exploration? Is that Cook or Magellan making those observations? Do you need a live astronaut in a spaceship to make a human observation? If a robot makes the observation and AI interprets the observation, is it still a human achievement? Interesting question. In Star Trek, human beings are in the spaceship. What are they going to do? Mars is full of dust, and they have wild, raging dust storms that you probably can't breathe through. What are astronauts going to do on Mars? There's the ground on the moon is called regolith, and it's the product of millions of years of asteroids hitting the surface of the moon and breaking up. And regolith is like glass. It's broken shards of space debris that is so sharp and clinging, it clings to the astronauts' boots and clothing and their nose and their lungs. It's a real problem to deal with. And if you melt it, you can have solid material. And not only that, if you do the right thing, it can repair, you have the material to repair a spaceship in the moon, all from this deadly regolith. What are people going to do? What are astronauts working on the moon going to do with regolith, which can kill you or benefit you? The complexity of space we only slightly know. But the philosophical question of whether humans, like Magellan, going out and going around the planet so that he dies before he gets back to England, but the last of 5 ships make it back to England, not with Magellan, but with one of his underlings, makes it back to England, and they said, we've gone around. We left England, we sailed that way, and we came around. The earth is round, not flat. That's when they knew. That was the human experience in exploration. What are we going to do? What are human beings going to do on these deadly voyages that a piece of rock can pierce the skin of the spaceship and everybody dies? Not if it's robots, but then is that the human experience? That's the stuff we're going to find out, and Artemis 2 is the beginning of that new age of exploration, and that is what Star Trek is, the message of Star Trek. The human beings will, in time to come, 400 years from now, will make those explorations, will have discovered the meaning of time and being able to put time forward and backwards. There's a theory that time doesn't run consecutively, 1 second after a second, because the closer you get to the speed of light, time slows down. I don't know how that's possible. I've talked to Neil deGrasse Tyson. What do you mean it slows down? My heartbeat still goes. I'm still taking the number of breaths. My body. How can time slow down? What is the meaning of that? And he attempts some explanation. I don't understand that. But apparently time slows down. There's such magic out there that we have no idea what space contains. We have no idea the incredible things we're going to discover. But alongside regolith, and you hold it in your hand and cut your hand on it, there's the ideas of interconnection, entwinement, and we're all related. What's the word? Entanglement. We're all entangled. Does that mean that we belong to the universe? That we're part of the universe? Is the universe conscious? Are we part of that consciousness? All those marvelous, unanswerable questions at the moment. Star Trek represents a possibility of some of those answers 400 years from now. That's the meaning of Star Trek. I don't know what I said. That's one. Here, two. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. I'm, as you probably know, I'm up in a room somewhere signing and saying hello to everybody. And the thing that people say here in Liverpool, probably all over England, you good?
Yeah.
You good?
I'm good.
Okay, right, I'm good. So in America and Canada, we say, how's it going? You good? Are you well? Good. But you good?
Yeah,
You good?
I'm good.
So when the fifth person comes to me and says, you good? Like concerned? I think, I wonder if I'm sick. I mean, really. That's how I took it. No, I'm good. I'm not sick.
Hey, it's a weird British thing.
It's a what?
Weird British thing.
Yeah, I know. But we don't do that in Canada or America.
Okay.
Okay, you good?
Yeah, yes, I'm good. So my question is, so one of my favorite Star Trek movies is the Final Frontier.
Wait a minute. Closer to the microphone. I'm trying to understand.
Okay, so my favorite Star Trek movie.
There, that I understand.
Final Frontier, which of course you directed.
Yes.
What's the inspiration for the story?
Well, I wish I could answer that in detail. I got a clock here saying I got to get off. But the end result of the movie I directed, and apparently the movie I directed is not very good.
I like it.
Bless you, my dear. But the lessons of the final, what's it called?
The Final Frontier.
The Final Frontier. The lesson there. My original concept was Star Trek goes in search of God. Okay? I said, here's the movie I want to make to the bosses at the Paramount. I said, I want to make a movie. And Star Trek, the whole group goes in search of God. We find the devil instead, and we deal with the devil, and we got to, the river Styx, we got to go, and we got to get out of there, and we run, and we get back into the spaceship, we leave. And the Paramount executives say, oh, that's nice. Who's God? I don't know, God. Well, is it a Protestant God, Catholic God, Jewish God, Muslim God? Well, no, it's God. No, you're gonna choose one religion, their God, what it looks like, and then you'll alienate. So 1 billion people will go with you. There's 8 billion people on the planet. You're gonna alienate 7 billion people. I said, yeah, but I mean it's God. No, you can't do that. And then I had to compromise everything. From that moment on, I compromised everything. So the lesson of that movie that cost $30 million, it was my lesson, and I pass it on to you so we can divide the cost, was when do you stand on principle and when do you compromise? And that lesson we all have to learn. When do you stand? No, that's against my principles, and I'm not going to go there. Well, I have a statue of a rhinoceros made in, when I was in South Africa. They got a famous sculptor, and I brought home this incredible sculpting about that big. And I said to my wife, it's going to be perfect on the mantelpiece. And a little to the side, not in center. And it's like dominates the room, even though it's that big. And she said, oh, that's great. And we'll put a candelabra on that end, on that end. I said, no, it's got to be alone, this song. Because she says, no, candelabra on each end. How do you compromise that? How do you stand on principle in a marriage like that? So the mantelpiece, it's got a candelabra on both sides. I had to be part of it. Thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure being with you. Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.